got. Brand new racing rig from P1 Sim Sports. Triple screens, full cockpit. This thing is insane.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
2 races remain in the season of the Midwest Modified Series presented by P1 Sim Sports. 6 have come and 6 have gone, and only 2 more remain, and we make our stop in Knoxville in Indiana, in this beautiful facility, over 70,000 seats. And when drivers come to this racetrack, those seats are usually filled, and here they're going to be filled in the sim by the virtual fans and by our virtual UMP late models. We are going to have a great time in these, sorry, not late models, modifieds. My brain is all over the place just watching some stuff. No Limit Racing here with the Midwest Modified Series, and I'm glad to be joined alongside by Alex Gagnon, my analyst and producer, with cameras provided by Dougie Beard. You'll see that all tonight here from Knoxville. My name is Scott Scheib, and we'll be joining you and bringing you all of the action from the Knoxville Raceway. So, Alex, here on Vspeed, and we got 2 more to go, and the championship battle hasn't been tightening up too well. It's actually tightened up a good little bit by James Murphy. He currently runs in second. As you can see, our schedule will go to Lucas Oil next week to crown a champion. But James Murphy, with the win last week, has closed in on Dustin Hennigan, who had his worst race of the season 1 week ago. So could James Murphy maybe make a run for this?
No, a lot of it hinges on what's going to happen here tonight, Scott. That gap has shrunk at about half. It was about 100 points back last week, down to 46 points here tonight. Another result similar to last week will make next week at Lucas Oil very fascinating. And don't count out, Daryl Bass and Mason Setting just yet. They've been pretty steady, and we've seen these guys reel in about 50 points or so on a good day. It's not entirely said and done yet who's going to be in these podium spots at season's end.
Yeah, there's like you said, there's that payday, and so these drivers, they're all looking for a payday within the top 3. There's money to be had for the second and third positions, currently held by Murphy and Bass, but Mason Setting, Jaden Freeberger, maybe Braden Avila, even after missing a race, if something was to happen to those in front of him, maybe he could get along and maybe run with them. But I think Mason Setting is really the one that is really in the best opportunity to jump up into one of those positions, only 30 points behind third place Daryl Bass, and others just fighting to try to get into the top 10 just for credits, just to be able to say, hey, I finished in the top 10 this season in the overall standings.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be a big sticking point for a lot of these drivers. As we'll take a look here real quick at where they're going to do battle here tonight. Knoxville Raceway, the big track relative to a lot of the other places on our schedule here. 5/8 of a mile, just about. Not super high banked, but high speeds due to the fact that, unlike some of the tracks we've been to this year, this place has got some real straightaway to it.
Huge racetrack. We have not been to a racetrack this big all season long. Cedar Lake was the biggest racetrack we went to. Close to this. It was just under 0.4 of a mile, but this, a half-mile oval dirt track, something we have yet to see. So it looks like we still will remain with our heat races. Only 8 drivers bring into the feature tonight, and at least 8 drivers have attempted to make practice sessions. So it looks like 9 drivers will make it into this first heat, 8 laps as always, but I imagine we will only have 2 heat races. And of course, this is all to set position, because I imagine, Alex, we won't have the LCQs.
No, I don't believe we will, or if we do, it'll strictly be for position. It won't really be to, eliminate parts of the field. So we'll take you through tonight's starting grid. Up front, it's going to be the 25 of Braden Avila. He's going to be kicking us off here. Alongside him, it'll be Ethan Patterson in that 13 machine. Jaden Freeberger looking to rebound after a tough feature race last week. He'll roll off here alongside the 6 of Mason Newmiller. Dalton Kane, Cody McDonald, row 3. Dan McLeod, Dustin Hennigan, your points leader, starts 8th in the opening heat, with Ricky Thompson rounding out the field, who's up to 13th in the standings now. It's a
Hennigan will have
crew.
some work to do, Alex.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of work to do. I mean, coming back here from the back, big track, has some time to go do it, but easier said than done when you're buried back in 8th to start this thing off.
Well, and a reminder, and again, this is just me and Alex kind of guessing here, but with only 18 drivers coming into practice, We normally sit 21 into our 40-lap feature races, so we've got to imagine the LCQs will be canceled, and we'll just be fighting for straight-up starting position in the feature. Everybody should transfer, but we'll make sure to keep you up to date in case Alex and I are wrong in the slightest bit. Half-mile oval dirt track, Knoxville Raceway, biggest track we've been to all season long. Let's get them set. This will be your starting grid for heat race number 1. Drivers use a lot more throttle here than any place they have before. It's going to be a completely different type of racing that we have seen the past couple of races. Who can be the best? It looks like Jaden Freeberger is trying to be the best. He loops it down to the bottom and takes the first spot away from Braden Avila. Jaden Freeberger to the lead. It's 3 wide for third.
And look at that battle here. Dalton Kane, Cody McDonald, Ethan Patterson all going at it for third right now. Typically this would be a transfer spot. Something to keep an eye on here is now side by side. A little bit of contact, getting physical. 3 wide through the corner, and Hennigan just trying to find any bit of running room here as Thompson's now bouncing off of people. Patterson in the wall.
Patterson hard into the wall, got the worst luck of all of that madness. And Dustin Hennigan, he's into the wall. His right front looked like it went down, but it's okay. But he was hard into the turn 3 wall. Hennigan is back in last, and yeah, he's got a big problem. Now that right front looks to be gone.
Both him and Patterson.
Well, this is going to bring out a caution.
Well, I think they both got towed off the racetrack, and with a racetrack this big, they may have gotten off in time. So Freeberger going to come around.
Did.
But we're going to stay green because they're off the racetrack. Tough start for Patterson and Hennigan here tonight, but it's going to keep things rolling right along. One of the advantages here of a track this big, you actually have time to come and get off the racetrack if you need to.
Freeberger, he had a rough last race at I-55, finished 19th after some heavy damage, but he's still running in the top 5 in overall standings. And we've seen Jaden Freeberger perform well even when he has gotten damaged or been taken out. But this already in heat race number 1 early with only 3 to go, this has looked his best so far this season. Braden Avila, he's been strong as 1 win of the season. Dalton Kane has been performing fairly well recently the back half of the season, but is yet to be able to sit on the top step of the podium.
Yeah, and they're in a good battle here as well with Cody McDonald, who's put together a pretty solid campaign here through 6 races. Newmiller, Thompson, I mean, there's a lot of really talented drivers here in this this group. Of course, Hennigan and Patterson among them who got taken out early. So we'll make our way to the white flag. And I mean, boy, Jaden Freeberger just, when he got some clean racetrack, just took off.
He has absolutely taken off. It's a 1.5-second lead, and he finishes it off. Winner of heat race number 1, Braden Avila, comes up second. Dalton Kane in third. Again, to our knowledge, everybody should transfer in. It was a tough end of the heat for Hennigan and Patterson, who finished last on the grid. So they are going to have some massive work to do. And guess what, Alex? That's exactly what drivers like James Murphy and Daryl Bass were hoping for at Hennigan, because it is going to make his featured race a lot tougher.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's, we know Hennigan's got a lot of speed, but he's going to have to do the equivalent of the first year, run shotgun on the field, try to get up there and make something happen. As we're getting ready here for heat number 2, as 8 cars looking ready to take the grid here in our second heat tonight.
8 cars set to take this grid. That'll be 17 Dirt UMP modified total. Nicholas Moley will start on pole for heat number 2 with James Murphy. Last week's winner to his outside, AJ Hunsinger. New driver here, late in the season going. Let's see how the 33 can perform. Then it is Kaylor Hogan. Haven't gotten to see him race in a couple of weeks. Let's see how the 21 can fare coming back. Ivan Godwin starting in 5th after his best performance all season long. He sat on the podium. And Daryl Bass, your third driver, third place in points, will start in 6th. Final row number 4, will consist of Mason Setting and Julian Shanks.
These 8 cars ready to go, including the guys second and third in the points here. Murphy, though, with far more advantageous track position for this heat than Bass. We'll see if Murphy's able to jump out clean in the way, or if Nick Moley is going to be able to hold on to that spot from the pole.
Yeah, Moley, you know, I talked about this early in the season, that I've heard about him before. I covered him in another dirt series I got to do, and know that he's a strong driver, but he has really had some terrible luck this season in the Midwest Modified Series presented by P1 Sim Sports. Could he change that today? Starts for pole in heat race number 2. Let's see how he fares.
Well, he's immediately under attack here from Hunsinger, the newcomer, looking to the inside here, trying to take the lead here in his first laps of the Midwest Modified Series this season. Not quite going to be able to get it done there in 4, but he is not going away yet as they're going back at it. Here comes Murphy into the mix as well.
It really looks like you can run both lanes as A.J. Hunsinger giving the wheel, giving the side panel to the 2 of Moley. Hunsinger going to move on through to lead his first laps here in the Midwest Modified Series. Hunsinger trying to be a name unknown, but make his name known to us.
And he's doing a great job right now trying to hold on to that lead. Here comes Murphy. Moley gets in the back bumper. Oh, that's contact with Bass. The 2 goes around.
With Bass.
And that's going to bring out the yellow for the first time here tonight. We'll take a look here at the NLR instant replay.
Glad to see the caution come out for Moley. Just kind of got jacked up there a little bit. Didn't get to see much of it. Let's take another good look here. You saw the contact. Yeah, checked up for the 33. And that sent the car. He tapped those brakes a little harder than he probably would have anticipated. You can see just gets on the brakes right there. And it really, the front wheels just catch grip there. More than Moley was expecting, Alex.
Yeah, 100%. You see one more look at it there. That's just, something that develops so quick here. You get out of the throttle a little bit, trying to stay off the first person. Lose a lot of speed. Person behind you is right there. Not much you can do.
And Moley was that car right behind him that got into the rears, and nowhere for Moley really to go. I mentioned the bad luck for the number 2 of Nicholas Moley this season and all season long, and he was hoping to maybe end that run today, but it's going to be a little bit of bad luck in the heat race. And it's going to have him suffer for when it comes to starting position when it comes to the 40-lap feature, Alex.
Yeah, it certainly is. Good news for Moley is, though, he's still on the racetrack, has an opportunity to maybe try to get a little bit of it back. I mean, obviously easier said than done with the damage modified, but still a few laps to try to stay in the mix, or at least spend a few more laps learning what you need to do here at Knoxville.
What about A.J. Hunsinger? Know nothing about him, and he's come out here, starts in 3rd position, and takes the lead away on lap 2.
Yeah, I mean, a stellar start so far for the 33. You know, he's very quickly showing us that he's someone to keep an eye on here. I'm really curious to see if he's going to have this sort of pace in tonight's feature as well, because he is, I mean, granted, it's only been a couple laps here in the heat, but, I mean, he went right in there. He was battling with Murphy and Moley for that top spot. That was a ton of fun.
I'm interested by the lanes here because the cushion has continued to be moved up, but it really looks like the bottom is a really good line. We've seen both times in these heat races the lead be taken from the bottom as we get the green flag back in the air for the restart 5 to go, but it looks like both lanes are very viable, and when that happens, I would think that you would use the bottom as there's a big crash in the back. Kaylor Hogan hard on the wall, as well as Julian Shanks. They are stopped in the middle of the track. Caution not yet out on the racetrack. We are still green as they run. Julian Shanks will bring it back and tow it into the pit lane as Kaylor Hogan, he just slammed into the wall once again, and this was the initial contact between those two. Hogan will bring it back into the pits as well, so we will stay green, but you saw the contact between the 21 and the 44, but green racetrack remains with A.J. Hunsinger with the lead by 3.3 tenths.
Yeah, and he's got Murphy in setting here on the back bumper. The 3 and the 65 have kind of reeled him in here with a couple to go. Murphy going to try to work the high side. Easier said than done, is setting right in the tire tracks to the 33 with 2 laps to go now.
James Murphy bringing good momentum from that high groove. A little bit of a bump for the 3 of setting. He's going to have to control it off of 2, but look at this. James Murphy just won one weekend ago at I-55, and he's looking to take the lead away in heat race number 2. He'll take it away at the white flag. One more time for Murphy. Can Hunsinger do anything on this bottom lane? Momentum strong for the 65 of Murphy. This is why we talk about these two lines being run. Hunsinger not going to be able to bring the momentum around, and Murphy out of turn number 4 wins heat race number 2.
Fantastic late race move there from Murphy to win that heat. Hunsinger, valiant effort, will come up short there in second. Mason Setting going to go from 7th to 3rd to get onto that top 3 spot in the heat. Man, oh man. Well, with only the 18, your suspicions were correct there, Scott. No LCQs here tonight. Everyone's going to be making the show. And with that, that means they're getting ready for their warm-up for tonight's feature, which means we're going to step aside to pay a couple of bills. And when we come back, it'll be continued coverage of tonight's Midwest Modified Series race from Knoxville.
Yo, you won't believe what I got.
Racing, we're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Yo, you won't believe what I got. Brand new racing rig from P1 Sim Sports. Triple screens, full cockpit. This thing is insane.
Welcome back to Knoxville Raceway, where we are ready to witness the 7th race of the Midwest Modified Series presented by P1 Sim Sports. And Alex, we were mentioning it during the heat races, but it very different track than we have raced all season long. I would say Cedar Lake might be the closest, but even to that, I wouldn't say you could say what happened at Cedar Lake is what we're going to see here today.
No, certainly not. This is a really different challenge. We've had a lot of really short tracks this season, quarter mile, third mile type bull rings. This place being over half a mile long, about 5/8 or so. Really has a lot of on the throttle time down the straightaways. It also makes sure hitting your marks getting into the corner is so important, because you actually got to be able to maintain that momentum, because if you get a bad exit off of turn 2 or off of turn 4, you can just forget about making any sort of pass. You're probably going to lose 2 or 3 spots because you spend so much time on throttle down these straightaways relative to these other places, where a bad exit is going to sink you with the amount of time that you'll just be trying to catch up down the straightaways.
Smoothness on the wheel will be key tonight. You said it right there, Alex, the word momentum. We just saw it from the 65 of James Murphy winning his heat race, rung the outside of A.J. Hunsinger, got right around him. You said it with the long straightaways and the longer track. I think we mentioned the 2 grooves, and it's viable, but I imagine that when it comes to passing and that, it is probably going to be done on the outside or by a slider on the entry of the corner, because you're going to want to keep that momentum up as long as you can. Before we get to our grid, real quick, I want to make sure that we thank all of our sponsors: P1 Sim Sports, No Coast Customs, Colburn Race Wraps, Featherston Fabrication and Welding, Infamous Raceworks, and KD Speed Shots. So, Jaden Freeberger will start on pole alongside James Murphy, 1 week ago's winner from I-55. Braden Avila, row number 2 with newcomer A.J. Hunsinger. Row 3 will consist of Dalton Kane in the 7 and the 3 of Mason Setting, who sits 4th in the overall standings. Cody McDonald in the number 28 will start in 7th place with the 90 of Daryl Bass, who's trying to hold that 3rd spot over Mason Setting in the overall standings. Row number 5 will be the 6 of Mason Newmiller and the 24 of Ivan Godwin.
Yeah, and Godwin pretty quick last week. Curious to see if he can replicate that here tonight. Ricky Thompson rolls off 11th alongside Nick Moley in that 12th spot. Row 7 will be Dan McLeod alongside Kaylor Hogan. Ethan Patterson and Julian Shanks round out the last full row in the field, with the last car on the track being the points leader, Dustin Hennigan. Scott, he's got a long way to go if he's going to stay in the hunt here tonight.
A truly long way. We saw those last 4 drivers that are on your grid have problems in their heat races. 40 laps in the feature. Payouts for the top 3, 25 for the winner, 15 for second, and 10 for third. Rulebook enforced on open setup, and this is, of course, the largest track on the session. Dustin Hennigan was the winner of the longest track before this, and that was Cedar Lake, but he's going to have to work from the back if he's going to do it. Green flag is out for 40 laps from Knoxville Raceway in the Midwest Modified Series.
Yeah, it's already seeing, how different it is. There's so much more room to operate here versus some of the tracks we've been to previously. They're going 2-3 wide. They've still got some room to work with. Crazy stuff. Multiple lanes wide down the stretch here as Freeberger under attack early here from James Murphy.
Look at this. 3 wide for 4th between Hunsinger, Setting, and now Dalton Kane. They get it set. Mason Setting gets it set in 4th place. Now looking to the outside of Braden Avila possibly. He won't be able to carry the momentum, but Hunsinger will. Hunsinger bounces off of the outside wall, but sends it in the outside of 4. He is losing spots and losing them quickly.
That he is. He's starting to fall back. Caught the wall a little bit there. Bit of contact. I think that was with the 6 of Newmiller. As he's continuing to tumble down, the order is up front for the race lead. Freeberger, he's got Murphy right there to the inside through 1 and 2.
It looks like the entry that drivers are liking is entering down low, letting it slide a little higher. So running that cushion, not the lane right now. And look at that. James Murphy sends a 35 all the way up the track and is going to take the lead on the bottom side.
James Murphy, last week's winner, currently 2nd in the points, to the point here on lap number 5. He's got Freeberger just behind him now as they've opened up a gap back to Setting and company. From there, it's 2 wide for multiple positions on the racetrack behind them.
At first spot that was too wide for just a moment was Kane and Avila fighting for fourth. Dalton Kane moves on through. Now it's Daryl Bass inside of the 28 of Cody McDonald. McDonald now looks outside of Avila as well. But this is a 3-car scrum for the last spot in the top 5.
And you can see just how much they're going to be working it here as we're on board with the 90 of Daryl Bass. So much more time being able to actually get down on the throttle, and then with how wide these corners are, you really feel like you're kind of just drifting it forever before you're able to get back on the throttle. Yeah, it's wild the amount of time. You just have to sit there and mind your patience, especially if you don't get a good exit.
And that all came from him lifting that left front up on the berm. Down on the bottom side, you can't quite see it, but there is a little hill. That's why these drivers seem to be sitting in what looks like the middle of the racetrack, but it's actually the bottom because there's a built-up berm keeping drivers from running any lower. And you saw the 90 of Daryl Bass hit that with his left front, and it killed his exit. He lost 3 spots because of it. Side-by-side battle between Ivan Godwin and Braden Avila. Avila, he's fallen back as well. A little slower than it was with the 33 of Hunsinger, but he's falling back on the bottom as opposed to Hunsinger, who was on the top.
Yeah, he's starting to drop just a little bit. Started up in third, down to 7th. Might be in jeopardy of losing a couple more here. So he's got a few more cars who are very much in the mix there with Daryl Bass and Nick Moley, who are right on the scene as well. 25 trying to hold it down there on the bottom. Easier said than done right now. Is up front once again. Freeberger just got up there a second ago, trying to put the pressure back on Murphy here through 2.
The lane has moved up now. A lot of drivers started down low and have now started to migrate higher and higher. This is that entry we spoke about in 3 and 4 for Murphy, down low. But look at the run out of the corner that Freeberger gets here on the 65. Can he continue to generate that down to the bottom and make it work? Pulling a slider this time, and look at Jaden Freeberger. Takes it back with ease, but momentum coming for the 65. He's going to swing it to the top side, but not able to hold it there. Freeberger pulls the nose up to block, and it's rear to tail for these 2 leaders, but Freeberger has taken it back from the 65.
A fascinating duel up front here right now between the 35 and the 65. One of these guys, last week's winner. The other guy, someone who wrecked out very early in the feature last week. So they're coming into tonight from very different places, but putting on quite the show up front. And speaking of quite the show, I mean, we've still got ourselves a lot of battling here in the back half of the top 10. McDonald, Bass, Kane, Godwin, all these guys swapping positions right now from about 5th on back.
It is a hot spot to be in this top 4. Cody McDonald hot on the heels of the 7 of Kane, 90 of Bass, 24 of Godwin. That is the positions 4th through 7th, and your closest battles on track besides this lead. Look at Nicholas Moley. He's trying to get a piece of the action, up 4 spots from the start of this race.
Yeah, it's, you know, it was a bit of a tougher go in the heat. Starting the rebound here, though, is the 2. Up to 8th, gained 4 spots, and very much in position to maybe grab a couple more as he is right on the back bumper here of 24 Godwin.
Moley, the biggest mover so far, and that is a troubling concern for the 16 of Dustin Hennigan, because Moley has only gained 4 spots. Hennigan has pretty much gone almost nowhere. He's now your biggest mover, just made a pass on Braden Avila, who continues to tumble down, but Hennigan only up to 12th spot.
Yeah, it's been a slow move for the 16. He's up 5, but we're nearly at the halfway point of this race. He's already 6 seconds back of the race lead and still has a lot of cars to work through. Is back up at front, James Murphy. He was half second back a few laps ago. He once again got back up there, caught Freeberger in 1 and 2. Lost a little bit of time this last time around, but these two are just not content with the other person leading right now, Scott. They are going after each other.
Murphy, before he was passed by the 35, was entering low and using more of that top line. Now that the 35 has gone by, he has migrated back down to the bottom, trying what the 35 did. 35 makes a mistake, and here we go, wrecks between the leaders. 65 bangs into the side of Freeberger, and he spins, and caution comes out. It looks like he's going to fall down to 3rd. We'll see where iRacing Race Control is going to set him once the caution flew. But contact between the leaders as it was a mistake by Freeberger. Got up on the berm, and the 65 had a good run and gave the door to the 35, jumped up over his left front, and sent the 35 spinning. Oh. Yeah, it's tough, too. I don't know what you can do there if you're the 65. If you slam the brakes, I don't know. It's just a unfortunate point of contact.
Yeah, it really is. One more look at it here on board. Yeah, already very deep into the corner. Sliding through the bottom, the 35 loses some speed. We'll take a look here as well on board with the 35 of Freeburger. It's going into this set of corners here. You see the 35 just pops the berm a bit, works his way back up, and as he's trying to get back to the throttle, contact there with Murphy.
Yeah, really, I mean, no fault of the 35. Yes, he made his own driver mistake, but I think the 65 was trying to give him a little bump, trying to move him up out of the groove because he had a good run, but I think it's just they touched wheels right there, right front and left front together, and it was just the perfect spot for both of them to have a problem, and they are now both in the pits. Of course, caution lap's not counting, so these drivers will still be on the lead lap, so maybe coming in to fix some damage. I've got to hope that neither of them are retiring, but this will put them at the rear of the field as we see James Murphy coming out, and the two drivers that look to be the best all race long through this first half are now going to be towards the back.
Yeah, luckily for them, looks like they're both going to get out there and keep racing. But, yeah, certainly not the way you want to see that battle for the lead go, especially with how compelling it had been. They'd already swapped that spot a couple of times each way. But here we go once again. At the halfway point, it's now going to be Mason Setting and Dalton Kane on the front row as the green flag goes back into the air, and they'll take lap 20 here.
This changes the geography of the drivers up front. It's Mason Setting with the lead now over Dalton Kane. And look at Darrell Bass. He's going to send it to the bottom, makes heavy contact with Kane. They're going to survive, and it was nearly 4 wide for second, but look at Nicholas Moley. He's making contact as well with the 90 of Bass. Bass is not playing any games with anybody.
No, certainly not.
Caution.
And, yeah, caution
Oh, my
out.
goodness.
And Ethan Patterson looks like he got run over here at the back of the field.
There is a bigger deal. A.J. Hunsinger was upside
Whoa,
down.
okay, yep, there it is. We just caught the tail end of that initially. Let's
Oh,
jump
my
on board
goodness.
here with the 33. No, that starts way
Wide.
early here on the front stretch. Oh, man. Oh, Hennigan had nowhere to go. He was caught right in the middle of that.
3 wide. Looks like Hunsinger either didn't know they were 3 wide. It was Mason Newmiller and Hennigan here off of turn number 4. And yeah, it's just a tight squeeze there. Hunsinger just came up a little high. And Mason Newmiller looks like he made contact. Was that the 49? I don't know who that was on the bottom. But it was heavy contact for Godwin, Hennigan, and A.J. Hunsinger. Purple car right there is going to make contact with the 6.
Yeah,
and
the
he's going to get
41
a
of
tap
Dan
from
McLeod.
Freeburger. There we go. It's Dan McLeod. Thank you.
Yeah, the 41 here. We'll take one more look here on board with him. Contact there with Newmiller. Gets ramped by the 35. Gets caught in the middle of that, man. Heavy contact. I mean, brutal stuff.
Yeah. And you saw Julian Shanks get some damage there as well. Let's ride along. Can we ride along with the 33 of Hunsinger? I want to take a ride along to see what it looked like from his perspective in the cockpit of that incident.
Yeah, let me see if I can do that.
I've never seen a car slide so long in its roof in a dirt setting. Oh, and here he goes. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. What a ride. And somehow he ended up on the wheels.
Yeah, one more look here for posterity because I was switching scenes for the folks at home. Yeah,
that is a scary view.
That's quite literally the last thing you want to see if you are...
Well, we were caution-free through the first half, and now we've seen 2 quick cautions. That was good for James Murphy. He's now in 11th. He didn't get any piece of that. Jaden Freeburger obviously collected some more damage. He has come back into the pits to fix some more of that. So it was unlucky for the 35, who looked to be one of the 2 fastest cars all race long. So Murphy gets the better of the incident, and Jaden Freeburger gets some of the worst besides the 33 of Hunsinger.
That left front on Hennigan's car does not look too happy.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely towed out, cambered out just a little bit as he made heavy contact with the 33, and it's definitely bouncing up and down just a little bit. But we'll see what Hennigan will be able to do with that. Again, he is your current championship points leader, and the gap has been slowly being eaten away here as of recent by James Murphy and Daryl Bass. It was nearly 100 points just 3 races ago, and now it's only down to 46. Green flag back in the air for Setting and McDonald. What can Hennigan do to maybe make up some spots and eat away at some of that lead of his championship competitors that sit behind? Look at that, it was 4 wide for whatever, but that's about 6th position there. But look at McDonald trying to hold off Kane.
Yeah, there was a lot happening in the corner there. Still a lot happening in the corner here as they're all trying to sort this thing out. Braden Avila going back toward the front here after struggling a little bit earlier on. In a battle here with Ivan Godwin for that position. I'm going to say that's about 6 on the racetrack right now. Door to door they go into 3. Right now,
Exactly
Daryl
right.
Bass is in
place.
right now Daryl Bass in a great spot to try to potentially capitalize on Murphy and Hennigan's misfortunes here tonight as he currently runs 4th.
You make a great point there, and it is Daryl Bass having a great run so far. He's made a little bit of contact with some drivers, so he definitely needs to take care of that UMP Modified in the Midwest Modified Series here from Knoxville. So up front, it's Mason Setting and Cody McDonald, 2.7 tenths of a second in between the two of them, and then it's half a second back to the 7 of Kane.
It's also important to note Mason Setting came into tonight 4th in points, only 30 points back of Bass. So right now, all of a sudden, the cards have shuffled in a way where the 3 could be in a really good spot going into Lucas Oil next week if he's able to hold on for his first win of the season. Easier said than done, though, because, boy, McDonald is giving him a lot of business right now up at the front. Same thing here for 3rd. Dalton Kane, Daryl Bass, Nick Moley under a blanket for the 3rd spot right now.
Under a blanket with them, Moley and Bass make a little bit of contact, nose-to-tail contact. That's going to bring in the 24 of Ivan Godwin. He wants a piece of it, trying to bank himself into the top 5. And look at Dalton Kane roll the top side. I want to point back to Jaden Freeberger, currently in 11th, ringing the top side of the racetrack. He started back in 16th after coming into the pits once again after that big contact with that most recent caution. He's already up to 11th spot. That doesn't prove to you the speed of this 35. I don't know what does, because James Murphy is only 2 spots ahead of him.
Yeah, and you see that that position. And Murphy starting to make a little bit of ground here, potentially on the inside. Looking now on Avila. No, sorry, looking on the inside of Godwin. That's Newmiller to the inside of Avila. As Avila hits the wall, I think he got tangled up there, actually, with Newmiller. The 25 going to fall on back, and I think that is actually going to bring out the yellow.
It does, and Moley going to fall back as well. He got some of the action in what had been a strong day for the number 2 so far. He was running in 5th. This is Mason Newmiller.
Oh, no, that was
something happened in front of them.
Yeah, no, that was...
Wow.
Nick Moley was nearly parked there in the corner. And then Avila took evasive action as he gets tangled up there with Bass. Looks like Bass was sideways in 1 and 2. As he made contact with Dalton Kane. Yeah. Take another look at it here.
See what happens. Looks like, oh yeah, just hits the berm. Makes contact. They both go sideways. Moley's right there, and Avila tries to avoid it. Swings wide outside and makes heavy contact with the outside retaining wall.
It's been a fascinating race. You know, we had a lot of action up front in the opening 20, and then, say, laps 19 to 29 here. It's been gritty, to say the least.
It has. Well, we had only 3 cautions last race, and I want to say this was the 3rd caution. So we're equaling last race. I want to check back. Let me check back at Cedar Lake and see what kind of stuff we had back at Cedar Lake. I can't remember how many cautions we had. We had quite a couple. 4 cautions. So 4 cautions at Cedar Lake is our most cautions of any race in the season. Actually, let me double check that before I tell you that for sure. Yeah, no, sorry. It was definitely Kokomo with 9 cautions. I think
oh, yes.
There's a big difference between those 2.
Yes.
The Kokomo has been one of our best races, and I couldn't remember if it was because of craziness or straight up good racing, because our next race after Kokomo was Huset's, and that was another one of our best races, and it was clean and green throughout all of it. So 3 cautions so far, our third most cautions, tied for third at Knoxville Raceway, and is truly, the setting has been changed up front.
Speaking of which,
You see
it
what I
will.
did there?
Yeah, about sales. Like, speaking of which, that is the man up at front right now with 10 to go, or 10 to go next time by at least. Mason Settings got the advantage. Cody McDonald, though, good run off of 2. He's going to try to make something happen here.
Cody McDonald been fairly quiet this season, but he has been in the running game for most of the season. Currently 8th overall in the standings and looking for his first win. He has yet to be able to win. His only podium finish is 2 weeks ago at Fairbury. Is Kane. Kane is a big problem. He's hard to the wall. Freeberger and James Murphy are back at it. They're making contact as well, all with inside the top 10.
Yeah, speaking of which, somehow the 35 has now cleared James Murphy. Freeberg, I mean, those 2 cars were so fast at the start of the race, and even with the damage, I still think that 35's a man on a mission right now. He's got himself all the way back to 7th, and he's looking for more here as he battles with McLeod.
He is only 2.4 seconds behind the lead, and this is exactly what we saw earlier that got these 2 in trouble, the 65 and the 35. 35 running in front of the other, and Dalton Kane ringing the outside. Now Freeberger looking to the inside of McLeod, pull up in front of him and try to stop on the nose, and yes, he will. That's how you take a position, and that's how you do it. Jaden Freeberger working through this field with quickness.
Yeah, he's up to 6th now with a few laps to go. Has a little bit of time to try to will that damaged UMP somewhere. As here comes trouble to the inside. 3 cars were all nose to tail interlocked there. I think it was McLeod, Kane, and Bass who were all making contact into the corner. Still going on in this battle. A lot's happening right here, right now for the 6th position.
Look at this 35. He can run the bottom, he can run the top. That is the fastest car on track, lap times wise as well as just speed wise, and being able to move around this racetrack, make the passes.
Man, we've had ourselves quite the duel happening here between a trio of guys in the top 5 in points here, between Bass, Freeberger, and James Murphy. However, up front with only 5 to go, McDonald's starting to lose touch with Mason Setting a little bit, and that 3 starting to see a lot of open real estate.
Yeah, Setting 7/10 of a second out from Cody McDonald. So if McDonald wants to take the win, he's going to have to find some speed now, or maybe have a caution. These 2 have been around each other all evening long, the 24 and the 25, Godwin in the 24, Avila in the 25. They just cannot seem to get away from each other. This is the battle for 4th. A finish in 4th for Godwin would tie his best finish of the season. Avila, of course, having 1 win earlier this season, but would love to maybe make a run for the podium, but that podium spot is held by Mason Newmiller in 3rd, who is a 1.5 seconds ahead of these 2.
Yeah, and he's just about up to 2nd here as he has caught Cody McDonald with a couple laps to go. That 2nd spot may not be decided just yet.
So they hold on. Avila still trying to move through on the 24, who brings great momentum from the high side. Right behind them, it's Daryl Bass, James Murphy, Jaden Freeberger trying to recover from their incidents early on. At least they're back into the top 10 for those 2. But Mason Setting, he is the story. 1.7 seconds now the gap as it is 1 to go. Setting, we said, could he close in on 3rd place? He's had some great runs this season, but none of them have come to take the checkered flag first. He'll do that today at Knoxville Raceway. Mason Setting, the winner in the Midwest Modified Series.
Fantastic drive from Setting. Kept himself in position early, and then when the caution came out and he jumped up to the lead, he didn't think twice about it. Drove away from Cody McDonald in the end. Fantastic stuff from the 3. And with some of the troubles that Hennigan, James Murphy, Daryl Bass, some of the troubles they had today, Mason Setting, I think, has given himself a real opportunity to make some noise next week at Lucas Oil in the season finale.
He has. He's trying to close in on Daryl Bass, who sits 3rd overall. And Daryl Bass only finished 6th place, and you get a big, big bonus for winning. And so Mason Setting will definitely be closing in on that third place, if maybe not having taken it with the points of position. Mason Newmiller and Cody McDonald round out the podium. And so we'll step aside quickly, get back to you with race results and interviews from our top 3 drivers from the Midwest Modified Series from Knoxville.
Yo, you won't believe what I got. Brand new racing rig from P1 Sim Sports. Triple screens, full cockpit. This thing is insane.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
What a race by Mason Setting. Sat in the right place all evening long after starting 6th, and people took him out in front of him, and then he dominated the last 10-lap portion of the evening. Mason Newmiller overtakes Cody McDonald late in the going to pick up a second place. Cody McDonald rounds out the podium. Then it was Ivan Godwin tying his best result. That's 2 fourth places in a row for the 24. Braden Avila finishes in the top 5 after starting in 3rd spot. Daryl Bass comes home in 6th in the 90 machine. James Murphy and Jaden Freeberger were battling for the lead when they came into contact. They were able to regain some positions and finish 7th and 8th. 9th place goes to Dan McLeod, and Dalton Kane gets in a wreck late as well, finishes in the top 10.
Looking back to the back half of the field, AJ Hunsinger had a pretty solid start to his debut, but it ultimately ended up on his roof. He'll still rally for an 11th place finish after a wild crash here in the middle of this one. Ricky Thompson will finish 12th here tonight. Ethan Patterson caught up in that, will finish 13th. The points leader, Dustin Hennigan, not a great night, had issues both in the heat and the feature. He'll finish 14th here tonight, and that points lead is certainly going to be in jeopardy going into Lucas Oil for the final race of the season next week. Nick Moley, last car on the lead lap there in the 15th position, with Kaylor Hogan and Julian Shanks, the only cars not to finish on the lead lap here tonight.
I am getting some huge news. Failed tech for both 2nd and 1st place. Both Mason Setting and Mason Newmiller. Right front spring rate too low.
Whoa.
And that will move Cody McDonald to 1st place.
Wow. That's...
So our first time that our top 3, any one of them has failed tech, and it was the top 2.
Wow, 1st and 2nd. So Setting and Newmiller.
Yes.
Fail
and I believe
tech.
their teammate.
Well, yeah, I believe so. I believe they're both part of the same shop. Well, I guess that means here in a second.
It means that Cody McDonald is your winner, Ivan Godwin in 2nd, Braden Avila in 3rd. Of course, I don't know if Godwin and Avila know that information, so obviously they're not joining in the room. Now, Braden Avila is sitting in the driver's meeting, so if he stays there and we get done with Cody McDonald, I imagine we can pull him in and maybe let him know. But I imagine, Alex, let's just go ahead and pull in our newly named winner, Cody McDonald.
Let's do it.
What do you think? All right. Well, Cody McDonald, oh, he's in race control now. Let's see if I can bring him in here. There we go. Cody McDonald, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you know the news yet?
Yeah, I was in there.
Okay,
I was in
okay.
there.
I was gonna make sure if I was
Yeah.
the one breaking it to you, if you had already been broken to.
No, I was in there.
Well, I gotta ask, how do you feel about this? This is the first time we've had anyone fail tech from the lead positions. You were a strong contender all day. You're running up front. You started in 7th, and you ran in that top 5 for pretty much most of the race.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your emotions right now? What do you feel?
Man, it's wild. I'm more on the late model side of things. This UMP is kind of a little bit new for me, and especially with Nick and all of them. I'm on their team, so I try to do my best over there. But the UMPs are a little different, especially the B-Mod, but the car felt really fast, and I knew it was going to pass Tech. Thanks for Braden Avila and Nick for fixing the set. It was phenomenal night. I actually think I would have got 2nd there, but I kind of felt like I got pushed up. If they didn't fail Tech, I kind of got doored the crap. It just felt like to me I just kind of got moved out of the way on that last turn there. But hey, Rubbin's racing. But man, that's lucky. 3rd for 1st for Tech fails. I'll take it.
Well, I was gonna say, what is the? I mean, is it an asterisk win for you? I mean, or is it? Hey, you say, they weren't in the bounds of the rules, and if they weren't, they might not have been running in that spot. What's your take on that?
Well, I'm not much of knowing about sets, but I mean, I'm guessing that that right rear for being under of what it was, or the right front, sorry. That could have made their cars handle a little bit better on that long run. So maybe if they was able to, they actually had the right set in, maybe it'd been a lot closer race. I thought I had something for Mason until the very last about that caution really messed me up. I think if I didn't have that caution, I might have been able to get around them there on that last, before that last restart.
Well, this is really going to change the name of the game for the points, and you've currently been in 8th spot. What do you take to this last race from Lucas Oil?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to finish strong. I don't know how far it's gonna move me up from 8th to winning that. But if I can get a top 5, I'll be proud of that.
Well, there we go. Cody McDonald, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, appreciate you guys putting on the broadcast. Y'all doing a really good job over there, and appreciate Infamous Raceworks for the sets, especially Braden and Nick. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week at Lucas.
Well, congratulations on the win, Cody.
Yep, thank you.
Cody McDonald, your winner after running in third and not passing Tech for the top two. And Alex, I'm gonna drag in Braden Avila from the drivers' meeting. I don't know if that's wrong, but let's see if we can get a talk to him. Hey, Braden, sorry to pull you out of the drivers' meeting. You got a copy? Hey, Braden, you got a copy? Well, he might not have a copy, Alex.
Might not be. Well, either way, he will cycle up to third. We'll give it one last go here. But yeah, either way, good rally there for the 25. And same can be said for Ivan Godwin, who had tied his career best in a fourth, but then is going to cycle up to the second spot here. So the 24 of Ivan Godwin, new best finish here in the Midwest Modified Series with a second place finish. And Scott, we kept talking throughout this season that, we stressed the fact that this was a rulebook enforced open setup league. And for the first 6 weeks, everything was all fine and good. And this week, we really kind of are seeing what that means on the whole rulebook enforced open setup situation.
It does. It's weird to have, you'd think you'd have more problems at the beginning of the season rather than the end, but maybe, drivers were saying, hey, we've been passing, we've been good. We're going to try to, force it just a little bit more. And obviously, Setting and Newmiller forcing it and pushing it just a little bit too far this week, and it is absolutely going to cost them. It will be a failed for post-race Tech, and that will put them to the rear of the field. And rear of the field, there'll be no points for them. So almost like they weren't even here, and then it's going to change the setting and the geography of our final standings heading into Lucas Oil 1 week from now. Alex, your final thoughts on tonight and maybe going into next week for championship evening.
Oh, man, it's going to be a ton of fun. And, for better or for worse, Dustin Hennigan did not have a great result here tonight. Darrell Bass, James Murphy had a okay but not great running. And, McDonald gets the win. That'll shoot him into the picture a little bit. But realistically, I think that top group is going to get significantly tighter. And we could have a fantastic battle for the Midwest Modified Series Championship on the line next week at Lucas Oil.
Well, it's the only place we've been to before, so these drivers have had chances to run their sets for a full-length race, and they'll be making changes to be better and better. Last time we were there, it was Dustin Hennigan taking the win, his second in a row, and he has yet to win since. Could he put it back on the top step of the podium after his worst run of the season? All will be yet to come. Closing out this evening, big thanks to Alex Gagnon, our producer and analyst, and all our cameras provided by Dougie Beard. My name is Scott Shive. You've watched all of this action of the Midwest Modified Series presented by P1 Sim Sports here on Vspeed. Good night. Congratulations to Cody McDonald on taking the win. We'll see you 1 week from now for championship race night.